Hey, hello, and welcome to the Whole Loaf, a holistic approach to good health and building strong relationships. My name is Paul Bertzloff. I am here with Deborah Murray, author and food stylist to the stars.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm excited about tonight. This is going to be a good night tonight.
It's going to be a good night. We are totally going to change the way you're ever going to think about cooking meatballs again. We're going to do one of Deb's cockamamie recipes.
A cockamamie recipe. So we are going to do something completely and totally different tonight. All right, so I am excited about this. And so now you know the theme of the show this evening, right? Do something different. You know, I just want to share just a couple of statistics with you. Did you know that the average American spends 9 years of their life watching television? The average American spends 93% of their time indoors. The average American, 60% of the time, eats the same safe foods week after week after week. Yeah, talk about it. Boring, right?
Yep.
You know, psychologists tell us that 80% of our lives are lived on autopilot. We just do the same thing over and over and over again. Even when it's not working, we do the same thing over and over again. You know, psychology tells us too, there's a stat out there which I just think is really kind of funny. But like if you're in a relationship, from the time you begin that relationship till the time that relationship ends, all right, you know, you're gonna, 73% of the arguments you have, 73% of the arguments you have are the same argument. You're gonna argue and disagree about the same thing over and over and over again, 73% of the time, the entire span of your relationship. And those arguments, they're not solvable. There's no solution to them. Either you learn to honor and respect each other, or you're not going to be very happy. It's one or the other. I've always said, how'd you say it? You said, I always said, do you want to be right or do you want to be married?
And I always said, or do you want to be right or you want to be happy?
Yeah, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy, all right? And so, just over the last several weeks, I mean, I have learned something new every time we've gotten together. And I just absolutely positively love this. I mean, I have taken a nugget, I have taken some information away every time we've gotten together. Information that I can put into practice immediately. Stuff that I can start doing right off the bat. And that's my challenge for you tonight, all right? I want to challenge you, just take away one small nugget. Whether it's about cooking something that's completely and totally different, or whether it's about building strong, healthy relationships. Take away just one piece of information that you can put into practice immediately. Something that you can practice now. Because one small change in the way that you do things, one small change in your behavior can make a huge impact in your life and in your relationships. It's kind of like my watch. You know, I inherited my watch from my dad, and it's one of those mechanical watches. And in a mechanical watch, if one cog breaks, you know, just the tiny, smallest part, the entire system is changed, right?
Right.
And the same thing is true for us. If you do just one thing differently, just do something differently, it can completely and totally change for the better. It can impact your life and your relationships.
I agree. And I get the same nuggets from him. I mean, I walk away every week feeling enlightened, feeling a better person. And I hope you're feeling the same way. And one of the things that I would love to do is I got to show you this meatball recipe. Because the meatball recipe that we're going to do is not like any other way you've ever done meatballs before.
Maybe we're doing something different?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you and Suzanne, what's your philosophy on meatballs?
My philosophy on meatballs is I go to Sam's Club and buy the packet.
Right.
I cut them open and fry them in a fry pan, or if I'm really in a hurry, I just nuke them.
Well, the information that I'm about to give you on that will even help you with that.
Okay.
Typically, you do meatballs by either frying them in a fry pan, right? Maybe cook them in the oven. But what we're going to do with our meatballs tonight is we're going to boil them in stock.
What? Boil a meatball?
We're boiling the meatball. And you would be going, well, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Well, first of all, if they were frozen meatballs, you know what's going to happen is the breading inside the frozen meatball will soak up the broth.
Yeah.
They'll add so much more flavor and they become tender like a dumpling. So next time you do frozen meatballs, I want you to try this technique.
Okay.
What we have in here tonight is we have some ground beef. We have 4 cloves of garlic and a cup of onion that we sauteed in olive oil. There's parsley, there's breadcrumbs, there's Parmesan, and there's an egg in here. Now, I'm going to get all messy because I don't want you to have to get messy with this.
Okay.
But I'm going to make the meatball, and I'm going to scoop them with an ice cream scoop. Then I'm going to stuff them, and you have to decide what you would like to have them stuffed with. Do you want them stuffed with 3 raisins, like my friend Josephine Cook, or would you like them with fresh mozzarella cheese?
I want them stuffed with both.
Oh, I like
I mean,
it.
I-
I like
each,
it.
yeah,
I
individual,
think,
yeah,
okay, we're gonna do a little bit of both of them.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting messy, and you can go ahead and teach us something else.
All right, so it's like Deb was telling me that meatballs went all the way back to the Persians, to the ancient Persians.
4th and 5th century.
Yeah. So my immediate thought was King Xerxes in the book of Esther
Yeah.
was eating meatballs.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember the Bible talking about King Xerxes eating meatballs.
You're so funny.
He kept having these banquets. So in the book of Esther, he kept having these banquets, and so I'm sure meatballs were served all the way back in ancient Persia. So
And did you know that there's 20 different cultures that actually honor meatballs? Meatballs are like they have them in India, they have them in Swedish meatballs, Italian meatballs. We usually think of Italian meatballs, but the whole concept behind meatballs is you were using the scrap pieces of meat and then you were adding bread to it to make it stretch. So it was, it was something very economical.
yeah, so nothing was wasted.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So now that's what we've done here. We've used ground chuck. We've got our breadcrumbs in there. I do it by hand because you don't want to overwork it because you don't want it to be monochromatic like you just want to have the texture.
Okay.
But now what to do, I don't like meatballs to be varying in size. So I use my ice cream scoop. So I'm going to take a scoop of the meat. I'm going to pop it out, and in the center, for instance, if you want to open the raisins, and I'll explain to you what the raisins are for. This one I'm going to put a piece of fresh mozzarella cheese in. I'm going to pinch it, I'm going to roll it, and then I'm going to pop it in the beef broth. Now the reason I'm going to boil them in the broth, Pastor, is because the tenderness and the flavor that absorbs and all of the fat that's inside of the chuck will now go down into the broth. It will not be going into the fry pan. The meatballs don't get flat one-sided.
Yeah.
You don't have splattering of grease, and you're actually getting a better meatball. So changing up our technique, we're getting better results all the way around.
Yeah, very good. Hey Mom, did you see I'm cooking?
I like it.
I'm passing raisins to Deb.
And then we tell you why the raisins. Now, Josephine cooks. You met her at my daughter's wedding. Her mom is an amazing Italian cook, and she used to put 3 raisins in the middle of the meatball. And what would happen is the meatball, as it cooked in the Sunday gravy, it would give off sweetness into the stock, which would help counterbalance any acidity from the tomatoes. And then it would, in this case, it's going to absorb some of the beef stock, getting a little salty. But Josephine said that the 3 stands for I love you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. See, this to me is like extremely unique because it goes directly against the way that we think.
Mm-hmm.
It's going directly against the way that we think about things. It's doing something different. It's kind of interesting. The average American has anywhere between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts a day. Do you ever think about that? I mean, think about how fast your brain is working. Up to 60,000 thoughts a day. But here's the sad truth. 98% of the thoughts that you have are the exact same thoughts that you had the day before. I mean, so talk about, we are creatures of habit, aren't we? We fall into the same routine. We fall into the same rut over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
And of all those thoughts that you have, research tells us that 80% of them are negative. Are negative thoughts. So all that self-talk that goes on in your mind, nobody else hears it, it's just you talking to yourself. 80% of your thoughts are negative. And what the sad truth is, our thoughts and our behaviors, they're not independent of each other. Our thoughts impact our behavior, and our behavior impacts our thoughts. I always ask the question, which comes first? Okay, trivia question, the chicken or the egg? Okay, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? To me, the answer is always yes. Yeah, I mean, the answer is always yes. Okay, the chicken and the egg. And so the same thing comes with behavior and thoughts. If you change your behavior, okay, your thoughts will change. But if you change your thoughts, then your behavior will change as well. But the easier one to change is your behavior. And so, so if you change your behavior, right? I mean, you change your behavior, it can free you. I mean, your behavior can free you from these unhealthy automatic habits, these ruts that we fall into over and over and over again. And if you change your behavior, just doing something differently,
right.
I mean, it can decrease stress, It can decrease anxiety. It can strengthen relational health.
Right.
It can increase happiness. I mean, just by one small change.
I remember when we were talking earlier, like you and Suzanne going for walks
Yeah.
instead of sitting and watching TV. And how good is that for your body? And it's
Yeah.
great for your relationship, and it's giving you oxygen. And I mean, I'm going to incorporate just one great new habit.
Yeah.
Just change one behavior.
Just one behavior that you can do different.
I love it.
Yeah, you know, I love it. It was in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 32, where St. Paul writes, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as God forgave you in Christ Jesus." You know, so we're called to be kind and compassionate to each other. And so I want to challenge you. What is just one small behavior that you can do to show kindness, to show compassion to the people in your life, to the people that you love? You know, I've heard it said over and over again that the people we love the most are the ones we hurt the easiest.
How true is that?
Because we just take them for granted.
Oh, yeah.
We have all of this stuff going on in life, all of this busyness, all of these responsibilities, places we gotta, be, things that we gotta do, people that we have to see, that the very ones we love are the ones that sit on the back burner.
I know.
They're the ones that we take for granted, and all of a sudden, one day, they're not there. And so, what is just one thing that you can do to show fondness and admiration to the people that you love? And I know. So
It's a great challenge.
how's our meatballs looking here?
They're looking really
They're looking good. All right.
Really, really good.
When it comes to relationships, John Gottman at the University of Washington talks about masters of relationships and disasters of
Okay.
relationships. Yeah, and a master of a relationship, it's not a very deep
Right.
definition. It's just like they do things right.
Right.
They're interested in the other person.
Right.
Okay, they ask open-ended questions. They're affectionate. They're showing an interest. They're humorous. They're empathetic. They're understanding.
It's Suzanne.
That's what a master of a relationship is. And Deb and I were talking before we came on camera. Was for a relationship just to simply maintain, you need 8 positive to every 1 negative.
That's so
Just to
interesting.
maintain where your relationship is at right now. 8 positive to every 1 negative.
Wow.
I mean, you get that? That means that the positive has to far outweigh the negative. And the masters of relationships, those whose relationships are strong, that they're growing, it's a ratio of 20 to 1. 20 positive for every 1 negative.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the positive in a relationship needs to far, far outweigh the negative for that relationship to grow, to become healthy, to grow
Be healthy,
strong.
for sure.
Yeah, and the disasters of relationships, it's like 0.8 to 1.
Yeah.
So there's more negative than there is positive.
And they need to know this. That's why there's so many divorces, right?
It's
all
is.
math,
That's
right?
why so many relationships are struggling. That's why
Yeah.
so many relationships are hurting. It's kind of interesting because you were talking about if you just go for a walk.
Right.
You're changing a simple behavior, right? So instead of sitting down and spending 9 years of your life in front of the TV, just go for a walk. I mean, it can be a short 30-minute walk.
I love
And that short 30-minute walk is burning off, I always saw it, burning off the fat kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making room for ice cream.
Making room for the ice cream. Oh, speaking of ice cream, is it Tillamook? Is that how that? Oh, that stuff is good. I just had some of that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the ice cream, right? And I think it's called Tillamook or Tillamook.
Yes, something
It's
like that.
it's buy one get one free right now at
Ooh.
Publix. BOGO at Publix. That's good stuff. I
know,
talk
I'm
about
going
that in
out
my
there.
sermons all the time. Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
so how's our
Alright, so
meatballs
our
looking?
meatballs are done. So it's 5 to 10 minutes in here with the meatballs. Now what we're gonna do now is we've had our sauce has been simmering all day. What I'm gonna do, well not all day, it's usually about an hour. One of the biggest mistakes you can make with making sauce, if you don't buy bottled sauce, you do need to have your garlic and onion and bay leaves. They need to kind of all meld together. You need that little hour of that. What we're gonna do at this point, let's pretend that our sauce has been cooking for close
You saw I
to...
backed away from the sauce, right? And
I don't want to get that on your shirt. Your wife said how handsome that shirt looked on you. But we're going to add our meatballs right into the sauce, and then we're going to let them all cook together so all those flavors meld together, and then we're going to serve it over pasta, or you could serve it over zucchini noodles. One thing they served one time in Delta was they served it over sauteed spinach with ricotta on this side, which was really, really
very
fun.
good. On Delta?
So, yes, Delta Airlines. So change things up, do things different. Take Pastor's Challenge and do try these meatballs. The recipe is going to be on the Our Savior Lutheran website. But even if you don't like to cook, try it with the frozen meatballs, whether it's the chicken stock for the chicken ones or turkey stock for the turkey ones. Take your meatballs and put it in sweet chili sauce with pineapple, or maybe do a little grape jelly with some heavy cream.
Grape jelly?
Grape jelly and heavy cream is so fun. It's kind of like how do you say that word from Sweden? It's lingonberries. It's like what you get it when you go to IKEA. It's that kind of thing.
When you were talking about Swedish meatballs before, the first thing that came to mind was IKEA.
I know, that's the
like the
reason
only
to go
Swedish
there.
meatball I know of.
Aren't they amazing
Yeah.
too? They were really amazing until we found out what, you know.
I still don't know what goes in them, so don't tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just about ready here. I'm gonna serve things up, and here.
These look great. I mean, just even, yeah.
Here, so I just want to get you covered in tomato sauce. Here's what you're gonna have to do for all our friends at home. He hasn't tasted this. I did give Suzanne a taste, but I want you to taste. Cut into that little meatball.
Okay.
And you should be enlightened with a beautiful piece of the cheese. Can
Oh, I
you
do.
see that
Yep.
cheese?
Oh, yeah. They
See
got
the
the
cheese
cheese
on
right
the
there.
inside? Kind of like a jelly donut, only savory. What do you think?
Once again, I mean, something completely and totally different. I mean, actually, every meal that we've made over the last several weeks has been something that I've never done before.
I like it.
And they really and truly are excellent. So these right here are well worth it. So go out and buy the ingredients, give it a shot, because this is good. Yeah, seriously, you won't be disappointed at any meal that we've made so far. Trust me, because I get to eat everything that's left over. It stays here at my house, and we get to eat it.
That's
So,
awesome.
mhm.
And take Pastor's challenge. Try changing one thing, just one thing this week, and I think you'll feel better about yourself.
Yeah. Do something different. It's something small. Those smallest moments in life, those things that we think are menial, that don't
Right.
matter, I mean, those are some of the most significant points in life.
Yeah.
Okay, and so make sure you recognize it. Okay, see and acknowledge what is right. All right, whether it's a relationship with a spouse or with a kid, recognize what's right. You know,
Right.
focus on the positive. In our world, I mean, especially now, with everything that's going on in the media, with everything that's going on in our world, we are so focused on the negative.
Oh, we are.
And we have a tendency to do that with our spouses. We have a tendency to do that with our families as well. And so focus on the positive, because, you know, one small moment, to recognize it and then to voice it. You know, to simply say, you know what, you're an amazing mom, or thank you for helping me out, or thank you for doing something, can make a huge impact in any and every relationship. So I want to challenge you, do something different, whether it's making meatballs or whether it's going on a walk, turning off the television, turning off your cell phone, just spending time with each other. Just do something different. Get out of the rut.
Yeah.
Get out of the rut.
And don't eat the same food every day.
Yeah, don't eat the same food every day. Go out and have some fun, do something different, and choose to be nice. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining us. You have a great day. God bless, and live loved.